It all begins with a hit of the button. Welcome back. It feels like just a week ago, because it was. We are about to present to you episode 14, a poignant part of the story as we are transitioning into the next chapter of the story. But before we do, we've got some business to take care of. Good business. But first off, the first thing I would like to do, and I told everybody I was going to be doing this once we pushed the little button and started going, but we're going to do a mental health check-in. And what I like to do from time to time is I like to check in with my players, especially if this is the only time I get to see them. If I'm not hanging with them on the regular, this is my chance to check in and see how you're doing. So we're going to do that right now. Mental health check in. Let's start with Buster One, aka Simon Speedfoot. How you doing, Mark?
Why you got to pick on me, man? Why you got to pick on me?
Well, because you're.
It hasn't been my favorite week of my life. There's been some sucktastic events happening of my own creation. Sadly, I spilled my lovely glass of water onto my tower, so I'm coming to you live from a laptop. I'm sorry, Stephen.
Looks like moonshine. It's an amazing.
Right, it does in fact look like moonshine. That was what I was going for effect-wise. It's actually just water.
So you've had some challenges this week, but despite that, here you are, and you're ready for some therapy for nerds.
I need some therapy this week. So
all right,
and a cheeseburger. But the cheeseburger is going to be after this. So
one of the ways
need some therapy. And I do want to point out one thing from last session that I got wrong. All goblins in Pathfinder 2 have dark vision. So I know we were talking about that, and I wasn't clear on that. So clarifying that point, and let's move on.
I do appreciate that. I do appreciate the fact. Sometimes groups will be as easy as green light, yellow light, red light. And we can presume that there's no red lights because you're here. But if that's your preference as well. So rolling to actually it'd be that way. Yes, I got it right. Rolling that way. The lovely Miss Lykira, aka Lena. So check in. How are you?
I'm doing really good.
Yeah.
My partner took the week off to get ready for the holidays because he's going to be crazy busy at work. And so we've kind of just been doing a mental health week. And we went hiking this past week, yesterday with some friends. And
awesome.
I got to see some condors like flying around, and they're like my favorite bird. And so, one of my favorite birds. I like peacocks too. But yeah, condors are super ominous and like cool looking. So I like them.
So
yeah. Got some nature in. Yeah.
You've been spending a lot of time working on, putting yourself in a good place. And that is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. So 2 thumbs up and ready to rock and roll. Moving on to Mr. Hawkabout, aka Daisy Dillon. How are you, sir?
Not bad. Like, I've been dealing with unemployment for the last 6 months, and it's finally coming to an end. Like I'm expecting an offer anytime soon.
Congratulations.
And so so I'm just kind of bracing for having to get back to being in job mode mentally, as opposed to 6 months of both protracted vacation and much needed vacation, and just sort of like the constant stress of being on assistance and jobs just not interviews you thought you got, but like just evaporate and repeatedly. So it's fine. It's coming to an end, and so I'm just really happy to be here.
Glad to hear it. Yeah, that's all good stuff. And all I can say is game industry, right? Yeah. So, all right, brother. So thumbs up for you. Moving on down, around, and up to Ms. Dana, aka Ms. Desna Peppermint. How are you, dear?
I'm good. I'm pretty good. Life's always crazy, but it's been a chill few months. My partner and I have been living together almost 6 months now, and been having an awesome time. We went on a date yesterday. I took him to an art installation, like an outdoor art installation around where we live, which was super cool. We're both artists, so it's been nice. It's been chill. I live
awesome.
every day with my cat and my partner, and I love them both dearly. So we've been having a good time lately. I'm super excited for all the holidays coming up. He's got time off, so we're going to be spending time with all of our families, and I'm excited to see my mom and everyone.
Nice. Very good. And we'll be coming back to you in short order as soon as we check in with Stephen, because you have another piece of art of one of our player characters to share with us, which I'm super excited about. But before we get there, let's finish off our mental health check-in. Stephen, a.k.a. Theron Glittermine, how you be, sir?
I'm as right as a male.
I mean, that's questionable, Stephen. I mean, the male in this country is a little suspect. So that doesn't really
I more look at it as
the
the concept of male, not what it's become. Right? Like I absolutely believe that we should have male, maybe less junk mail, advertisement, less sort of dickheads in charge.
Yes,
but as a concept, I'm pro male.
That was the most.
I wasn't actually trying to take an anti-male position. To be clear, everyone, it was really more of a yeah.
Why do you hate the male?
I don't.
What is it next? Libraries next?
I don't hate the male, but I hate the man.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
So, and just to round up that whole thing for me, I just came in off of a week's vacation. So I spent a week up in the Pacific Northwest, actually up in Stephen's beautiful country, backcountries up there, all the way from very rural forest islands on one end of the spectrum to the other side of the state, where things are very different. Yeah. Very different. So I am feeling great. I had a fantastic time off, and I'm looking forward to rocking and rolling. So the cat's out of the bag, Desna. Let's. You've been working on character art. You've been working on doing a piece for each of the characters, and we really miss Jet. And hint. Coming back soon with all hopes, everything's working out. But in the meantime, you really wanted to kind of put Electra to the forefront. And she is the next piece of art that you have completed. Would you like to share that with, I don't have any drum roll effects or anything like that, but if you'd like to share the Electra piece, that would be fabulous.
Successful.
And we're going to do that.
Hey, there we go.
Let's go.
There we go.
That looks amazing.
Very cool.
It is not showing on my screen, but as long as you guys can see it, I'm glad.
Oh, yeah.
We can see it. It looks great.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There it is for me.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that one. Again, glamour murder, as much as I could. It is hard drawing armor. I will let you guys know that.
You did a great job. The armor looks very good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Looks good.
It looks
Thank
really
you.
good.
I'm brushing up on my skills for Simon and Daisy coming up for sure. So
nice.
I can't wait.
It can be expecting probably Simon or Theron in the next week or two.
Awesome.
So, episode 14. Do a quick little recap of what happened at 13. 13 found you getting deeper and deeper into the hideout where Halid was taking care of his nefarious businesses. that he knew you were coming and you expected some kind of a trap to be launched upon you. And as in grand fashion, when you did come into the space, you had found that he had meticulously wired it with ropes and with heavy crossbows in various positions that could fire on your positions. And some of you got the worst of that. The rest of you were able to avoid at least that part of the room. And and the combat ended with Lykira landing a sleep spell between her and Halid in an effort to save Daisy, who had been tripped by Halid and was flat on his back turtling, in an effort to save him and to save Electra, who was in a flank position a little higher up on the tree. She planted that sleep spell right between her and Halid, and it was quite effective. It not only knocked herself unconscious, but it also knocked him unconscious and took us out of the combat. I will show you real quick how that ended up. And you can see the 3 lines of the rope traps with the heavy crossbows, with repeating self-cocking, gravity-fed repeating crossbows that could multi-fire, are mounted into positions here and there. He is where you left him unconscious, as well as Lykira. You can also see her with your goblin friend right behind her and right in front of Desna. So the room is once again yours and in your control. As you know, I'll remind you, you have a minute effectiveness on his unconsciousness. Whereas Lykira would be out for an hour because she critically failed her save. But having friends close by that you trust and can shake the hell out of you and wake you up makes all the difference in the world. And and that is where we are, and that is where we pick up from.
So I know, Theron, you have manacles. I don't know if they'll fit on this big ugly guy. If at the very least we should bind him with rope. If those won't work.
Interestingly enough, Theron, you would say that these manticles here were probably gauged for someone of his size. They're usually too big for everybody, but for that guy, they would fit just perfectly.
Yeah, they're on sort of halfway on Finnick right now.
Yeah,
but I will go and take them off Finnick and have somebody watch Finnick while I'm doing it.
Yeah, one wrist manacle of this scale is like a neck collar, and you've had Finnick wearing it around his neck. And it's just a very simple screw mechanism that loosens or tightens them. And if you loosen it enough, it'll hinge open. They're not the kind of thing that are left on people long term because you could eventually get yourself out of them. It's not that complicated of a mechanism, but they are very effective in keeping people, especially because the chain is long enough, and the idea is you take that chain and you link it to something else, and it makes it that much harder for that person to be able to move. So they are Halid-sized manticles that you have.
I'm also going to shake Lykira to wake her up, and then try to work on Halid in such a way where I don't wake him up.
Okay. All right. So you can he was basically in the position of sitting nestled up in the branches of the tree, up in the root system of the tree. He was kind of sitting into it, sort of like a suspended sort of seat as the top of the root kind of went down. And when he fell asleep with both of his hands kind of out. So you can basically walk up to him, take the heavy crossbow, or actually take the kukri out of his hand, because I believe that's the last thing he used. So you basically just, as you're clamping them down, you can take the kukri out of his hands. He's not holding on to them. They're barely being held in place. And he does not resist, nor does he wake up while you have him all chained together. Are you going hand to hand, Theron, or are you going hand to foot, or are you getting creative?
I think I'll go hand to hand.
Hand to hand. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just like the directions tell me to do.
Yeah.
I take out the little direction book.
Yeah.
His hand, bind his feet as well.
Well, we want him walking. So,
can we do like
we should probably bind his feet because I'm going to want to put the shackles behind his back at some point.
Right.
So yeah, I'll take out some rope and I'll also bind his feet.
Okay.
So when we need him walking, we can just take him out of that. But like they're in the front. It's not great. I'd much rather have them in the back.
Sure.
But I don't want to wait.
Are there any places on him that he could be hiding a weapon? Should we like double check and make sure he doesn't have anything on him?
Sure. You want to give him a search?
Yes,
More
please.
potions and
Perception
stuff
check and or investigation, whichever leans more into your character's stronger ability scores. Whatever you would have a higher return on, you can roll either of those.
Okay. Well, I rolled a 20, not on the die, but total.
Total. That's good.
Okay. Around his neck is a crude, what you believe to be a copper link chain. It's the kind of copper links that you oftentimes see apprentice chainmail makers fiddling with, because they start with a long, thin band of copper and they cut it and make the links. And so it's a very kind of a crude, bit rough, right? And it's got a key on it that is of higher standard, does not fit the chain. And there's just a piece of copper that's been kind of twisted into the key. The key looks smaller in scale, and it looks cast, and it looks like it was cast in silver.
Okay, I'm definitely going to grab that off his neck as gently and carefully as I can.
Sure.
And I'll come up to Stephen and ask him if, Stephen, do you want to carry this instead? I don't know if I should be trusted with important things, honestly.
In his top pocket, you see that the pocket of his shirt, it is unusual. He has more of a strap design, and on that strap design, there's like a small little like pouch pocket that you can put things into, and it's kind of sticking out from him a little bit. So as you remove the chain from around his neck, which is hard enough for you to do because he's huge. So you're basically climbing up the side of the roots, getting up alongside of him so you can get this chain off of him. And as you do, you can see that there is a piece of parchment that is folded down into his pocket. And the parchment is folded in such a way that it is keeping it's keeping the pocket away from him. And you're like, oh. You could easily just two finger right in there and kind of grab it and pull it out.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Okay, fantastic. And I will share with you said note as you open it up. For those in the podcast only format, I will read the note for their benefit. The note says, Halid, the final shipment of corpse blood is due in just over a week, and it is the last thing I need from that greedy bastard Bort. I've enclosed a parting gift for him that should ensure he never tells anyone of our dealings. Be sure that he gets it, my darling. Drop off the reagents as soon as they arrive. My work is almost done. You will find your usual reward in the stump. And it is signed only with the letter V. It is not any handwriting, Theron. You have studied Bort's handwriting. You've studied other measure of notes and logs and various pieces of certificates and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And none of it matches this hand. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. You're like, I've never seen this hand before.
Well, it seems that the path has led us to some new villain, V.
There is also a great number of crates and barrels in this room as well. And as you have before, I will presume you searched them when you found them in the past. And Simon, you've come up with a fairly significantly good method of kind of tapping on them as you go by, boom, 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 listening for odd sounds like dunk, dunk, dunk. Oh, what's in that one? Let's look. And most of your investigation turns up that reveals that a majority of the boxes only contain packing materials or nothing at all. And most of the packing material was either this strange mill shaving that is a byproduct of the wood mills, where they have these continuous sort of shavings in this kind of a puffy sort of array. And then there's also at the bottom of them, you can see there's actual sawdust in most of them. So certainly the packing denotes that these would be transporting something fragile. Most of the barrels here, Simon, you discover immediately are all set up with that smuggler's hidey spot. So most of them are half barrels that have been cut in half with a slide in the middle, so you can kind of sandwich them together. And over time, that's not a proper Cooper's fitting, right? So over time, those things start to wobble and they start to spread out, and they're easier to find. And you do, in fact, find some stuff hidden away inside of these smugglers' compartments. Again, your feeling is not that someone had left it there to keep it hidden from everywhere else, more that these were things that were just overlooked. And there's so much of them. Like, you found one thing over here, and then you found one thing way over here, and you found one thing over here. And Simon, there's a feel of a lack of thoroughness that has left these little remnants and these little treasures behind, right? So what you find is, in one of the torches, you find what looks like a torch. It has the shape and handle and look of a torch, but it has been wrapped inside. It's been wrapped around a piece of very thin hide. So when you get it, it's sort of like this strange looking scroll tube in soft leather hide. And if you peek inside of it, you can immediately smell that this torch-like device is treated with something. And it is, in fact, a torch inside of it. It is an alchemical ever-burning torch. And the idea is, once you fully unwrap this thing and expose it to the air, it begins its burn. So you find one of those. And was anyone else searching besides Simon, or was he pretty much just tearing through it?
I was basically Simon. As Simon would sound the crates, I'd be the one with the hand axe, like popping the tops off.
Okay, helping him out. Like, as soon as he goes, that one, you're like, yeah,
right.
That one, okay. At the bottom of one of these said barrels, it is a much more sophisticated one, where it wasn't coming apart and it was a sleeve inside of a sleeve. And you noticed it because you tapped it on the side and it didn't sound right. And then, Daisy popped off the top and there was nothing in it. You look down inside, you're like, Simon, you're off. There's nothing in it. Look. And you show it to Simon, and Simon's like, that's not as deep as the barrel is tall. Oh. So you kind of reach inside of there, and there's a basket made of the same kind of wood that pulls up and out. It is a smuggler's space inside of there. It is only about 6 inches at the bottom of the barrel. And it is mostly empty except for a flat black colored stone, about oblong, about 3 to 4 inches long at the longest point, maybe 1 3/4 inches thick. It's kind of that black slate color. It's not shiny obsidian. It's got that dull kind of black color to it, Daisy, when you first look down into it. And there's nothing on the stone. Do you want to reach in and grab it?
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Okay. It is cold to the touch as you would expect it to be. And when you pick the stone up and you kind of flip the other side, you can see that there is a rune carved in this flat stone. What do you do?
I'll hand it to Simon so Simon can take a look at it. What do you make of this?
Looks like a rock.
I concur.
I'm gonna give it to Theron.
All right.
Hey Theron, look at this rock.
Oh, that's an interesting rock. What is
marking
this
on it.
symbol? Well, I'll make an Arcana check.
Sure.
15.
I think that's good enough for you to recognize your belief. You're not certain, Theron, but your belief is that it is a representation of the elemental plane of shadow. And it looks like at one point there was a bunch of these kind of stacked in the bottom of this place. And this one just looks like it got overlooked. It was just so dark and black and kind of folded up into the corner. It was really hard to see. So that is that. In the wrapping, there is actually 2 of those torches. So you have 2 ever-burning torches and a rune stone. So the combat with Halid brought us to a point where you leveled to 2nd level. So we begin today's action-packed, exciting game with you guys being 2nd level. And I also wanted to introduce the concept of hero points. Hero points are a mechanic in Pathfinder 2 that at first I didn't want to bother with because they are an hourly kind of reward, and we're playing in hour segments. So I didn't want to really get engaged with that, but the concept of them is cool, and I do want to play around with it. So I will read from you now that, of course, I had the page all separated out for me to be right on prompt. I believe it was 467 of the core rulebook. Yes. How about that? So your heroic deeds earn you hero points, which grant you good fortune and let you recover from the brink of death. Unlike most aspects of your character, which persist over long term, hero points last only for a single session. So the concept is you get them on the regular. They're only good for the session that you play with. And I'm going to asterisk that. We're going to put an asterisk on that one and come back to it. Okay. Just for now. So the GM in charge of awarding hero points, you're supposed to give out a hero point at the start of every session and can gain more later from performing great deeds of selfishness, daring, beyond normal deeds, etc., etc. You can have a maximum of 3 hero points at a time. And you can lose any remaining hero points at the end of each session. So I'm going to presume, Stephen, chime in if I'm wrong here, but I'm going to presume that these statements about per session for Pathfinder 2 are very much about what we've talked about being the standard play session.
Yes.
4 hours at a time, maybe for some groups, if you're in a group that gets to play more than 4 hours at a time, God bless you. Heavens above, your blessings, the gaming gods are blessing you, because not everybody gets that. People would kill for that. Some of us, not so much, but anyway. So with the assumption that this is for 4-hour play sessions, I ask you guys, how would you best like to manage this? Should we call it every 4 and then they purge and they do carry over, so you can carry as many as 3 at a time? That's a question to you. The idea of how they work, you might be asking, well, how the hell does this shit work? All right. So you can spend a hero point in one of 2 ways. Some of you will feel like there's a smell of the inspiration token from 5e D&D coming out of this, but the first one, you can spend your hero point. Neither one of them is an action, and you can spend hero points even if you aren't able to act. So even if your character is incapacitated or dying, dead, bleeding out, whatever. The first way is you can spend a hero point to re-roll a check. You must use the second result. This is a fortune effect, which means that you can't use more than one hero point on a single check, because I guess fortune effects don't stack, right? If you have more than one, you need a minimum of one, but I guess if you have more than one, and here's where it gets a little weird, because it says you can do this with one, but you need to spend all of your hero points. So if you only have one, then what's the difference?
You spend one in all, but if you have three, you spend three.
Then you have to spend them all. Okay, so however many you have at this point, you can spend all of your hero points, option number 2, to avoid death. You can do this when your dying condition would increase. You lose the dying condition entirely and stabilize to 0 hit points. So, the group is doing its best to get you up, to get you stabilized, and the way the combat is going, it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. You can spend these hero points to stabilize your character and to recover. So, I wanted to and said that I was going to introduce hero points at second level. So, ta-da! Consider them introduced. So you all have one hero point. You're going to get one at every single start of every session. And please feel free to remind me, because it's just going to be one more thing I'm sure I'm going to forget. So, if one person remembers every session, that's good. And you can just keep adding to your total. You can never have more than 3. And the idea is you're supposed to get one every hour. For us, that means you get one every session, right? So on the 4th session, if you're still holding 3, you wouldn't get that 4th point. At the end of every 4, starting with this one, the math should be great. 14 is 1. Every 4 will purge and you'll go back to 0, or you'll know, oh shit, at the end of this episode, I'm going to have no hero points. So I might as well spend mine for re-rolls and do that kind of stuff.
Well, technically, Mike, if I get the way the mechanic works, we'd actually go back to 1. We'd purge anything above 1, right? And you are correct, we'd reset, but we'd actually reset to 1 because everybody gets a new hero point, right, at the start of the new session.
At the end of episode 4, you would go to 0. At the beginning of episode 5, you would get 1.
Right.
So we're both saying the same thing. Yes.
Right. Exactly. Just in different.
Absolutely.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and I would like to, because I'm that guy, I'm that GM, I'm going to add one more thing that you can do with your hero points. I will let you spend a hero point to change and or modify the current narrative. That will also cost you kind of a purgy, like if you got 2 points, it's going to cost you 2 points. If you got 1, you can do it with 1. If you got 3, it costs you 3, right? I will let you, asterisk within reason, change and or modify the narrative at the particular time. So I think that's also something very empowering. And I mean this not to like, I'm going to break the story. I mean, add to the story, add to the setting. If I plant a seed and your brain's going crazy with it, spend some hero points and entertain us, become part of the storytelling. All right. So we found this note, which you saw, which I've read to you. You found some items during the search. And you have recovered, let's see, on him, he had his heavy crossbow, his kukri, I'm presuming a detect magic was done.
Yeah, what the hell is that? Because you keep saying, and to me it sounds like you're saying cookery, like some kind of practice somebody makes a stew, and I know that's not what you're saying.
Kukri. It is a style of dagger where shortly after the haft, the blade widens into a large, almost almond-shaped blade. They're used for throwing, and they're also used for kind of hatcheting. In fact, let me just show you, because the picture of Halid has his kukri in his hand. So it's a good moment to take a look at it.
Traditional blade of the Sherpa.
Right.
All right. So let me share, dude. Boom. All right. So that's a kukri blade.
It's sort of larger than a normal dagger, shorter than a machete.
Oh yeah, no, I got it. I just for some reason was envisioning something much bigger than that. I don't know why.
So, as I said before, I presume that a divination for magic was done, and that blade glows with a dwemer. He also has he drank one of his mutagen jars. He has another one of his mutagen jars, and you can tell it's the same stuff because it's the exact same colors and the bubbles and the patterns and all that, right?
Okay.
He also has a smaller, more of a like they're you know them to be called shotgun flasks. They're small ceramic tubes with like a flexible bladder on them, almost like a Boda bladder on them. And when the seal is broken, you can pow, you can shot those down. So he has what smells like a healing potion. Judging from the smell, it's been spilled all over the outside of the all over the outside of the container. Has some of the liquid spilled on it, and you can tell just by pulling it off his belt. You're like, oh yeah, that's definitely a healing potion of some sort. He has one more of the mutagens, as I said. He's dressed in leather armor, which is mostly like a big wrestler's studded leather belt with a kind of a BDSM harness on him, which can easily just be kind of snapped off and flumped off and removed. He also had a heavy crossbow, and I believe 8 more crossbow bolts because he fired it at the group twice during combat.
Well, Theron's going to pocket. Desna gave him the key, so I'm going to put that in a nice safe pocket along with the note. We should. There's a healing potion in there.
There is.
I'm guessing that should go with either Simon or Daisy.
For clerical purposes,
sakes.
it is a lesser healing potion.
Okay.
You also have a lesser Juggernaut mutagen. He did not get the opportunity to drink that.
I was thinking about what was in that note. It referred to port, right? You know, does it sound like you there that it's maybe saying that port was dirty? It sounded like they're all like connected in some way. Whoever this V is.
That might be the case. Either that or whoever's doing this, who's ever in charge of this mysterious V, just didn't wanted to cover up the trail. And it's quite the trail. It's gone from the death of Bort, and Bort was bringing this stuff, whether he knew it or not. His ledgers definitely were coded in some way, and he kept it secret. So he may have been involved. This idiot here is basically the middleman, which we thought that the goblin was the middleman, but there seems to be layers upon layers of minions in between us and this person V, who's ultimately has, through this letter, stated that they were in charge of the death of Bort.
Do you know was it corpse water? What was the corpse blood? You know
corpse blood. Corpse blood is the reagent. Yes.
Yeah, it's an alchemical reagent.
You found a bottle of it a couple episodes ago.
So now we should probably wake up Halid.
Should we bring it? Take him in. Yeah, I guess we should. He's gonna be ornery. I guarantee you that.
Well, a tiger doesn't change its stripes. So with a smack, I'll wake up Halid.
Okay. All right. He looks around, very confused for a moment, and then you see his brow furrow as understanding kind of folds over him.
Yeah, you know the kind of situation you find yourself in now, don't you there, Halid?
So, Halid, we are keeping you as an accessory of the murder of Bort. and we're very interested in the person you're working for. Name starts with a V.
I works for myself.
I take out the note. Not according to this, you didn't. Quite frankly, you're not smart enough.
I've never seen that before.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was it doing in your pocket?
Likely out of me pocket.
Desna took it out of, and I point to Desna. Desna took it out of your pocket.
I said what I said. I've never seen that before. Besides, I can't read.
I'd like to.
None of you got the heart for killing, do ya? Otherwise,
we'll save that for the
formality, would we?
No, we'll save that for the judge.
He spits at you.
Do you want to go back to sleep?
Do your worst.
Yep.
Well,
what I would face on the other side of those scales swinging is too much even for you to conceive. No deal. Do your worst.
I prefer to wipe my hands to this gentleman, hand him over to the magistrates.
Yep.
Where they have experts trained in gibbets and whatnots.
Theron, would you please make a medicine check for me?
Yeah.
Now that you're able to be up close and personal with Howard.
That would be a 21.
21. Okay. You see that he is clearly in the deep throes of withdrawal from something. And it wasn't the mutagen, because you just watched him quaff some of that, and that wasn't the ding ding for him. So you see all the classic signs. The nubs of his fingers have all been chewed down to nothing. He all around his mouth is chapped, like he's been kind of feasting on himself. His eyes are bloodshot. They're sunk way back in his head. He looks like he's stage 3 junkie and throws.
Okay. Alrighty. I pull everybody aside out of earshot of Hallett.
He's not even resisting to your bindings. Like, I presume you have him chained in front of him or behind his back?
Right now, it's in front of him, but his feet are also bound with rope right now.
And did you do anything with the chain? Did you chain him to the tree? Is there anything holding him in place? Or you chained him to the tree?
Yeah, we don't want him to go anywhere.
Got it. So he's not resisting that. I imagine even with the group kind of circling up in a huddle and talking, nobody is getting farther than 10 feet away from him? What's the farthest distance?
Yeah, 10 feet away.
Okay. All right.
So taking a closer look at this man, he's definitely addicted to something. While I do not like to spread any kind of misery, I'm sort of feel he's done it to himself. I think we should take him back to his dog kennel, throw him in that jail, and let him stew for a bit, and then come back and ask him again when he's in a more reasonable mood.
Yeah.
Do you trust that he doesn't have a way to get out of his own prison?
Well, that was basically to keep the dogs in. We can make certain preparations so he does not get out of it, or at least hopefully. But it seems, given that the town itself doesn't have anything close to a jail, and we're still waiting for the magistrate, I think it's up to us to keep this person confined and get information from him about V between now and then.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think that might be our best option right now.
There are 2 ways you could go all the way back through the tunnels, back through the roof, up and out the ruins of his hideout to put you back in town. Or, of course, this exits right out to a perfectly nice little little pond and a trail, and you're on the outskirts of town.
Right.
You could certainly easily walk out from here.
Yeah.
Well, I think we want to put him in the dog cage inside his hideout.
Oh, you want to leave him
Yeah.
here? Okay.
Yeah. Basically, he's got a ready-made prison that once we put the bars down, he shouldn't be able to get out of unless there's something we didn't find.
He's pretty goddamn strong. And might be able to, if free, could sit there and work them and bend them and get free of those bars. So if you were going to use that space there, and your instincts are, you would have to leave them in the shackles and maybe disable the shackles, because that's what they're made for. They're the kind that you crank down the pin and then break it off so you
Right.
can't undo them.
I think we should take him back with us, because my concern is we're going to go back and we're going to tell Sheriff Turnip the whole thing, and
Sheriff Turnip,
and then he's gonna go, well, where's the big ugly guy? Oh, we left him at blah blah blah, and then we're gonna come back and he's gonna be gone, and then he's gonna blame us for all that. So I think we take Big Ugly with us.
Well, I'm worried that Sheriff Turnip is either useless or, unfortunately, this is a small town. Maybe
We've already established he's useless there. I mean, that's that. We already know that. You've already clearly determined, and we all have that he's useless. So that's
yeah, but that's
known,
part of
right?
my point. If he's useless, we can't trust him to hold Halid, and if he's in cahoots, we can't trust him to hold Halid.
Tell you what,
Well,
we can find a secure room,
but leaving Big Ugly in his own hideout, I think we're asking for it, and at the very least, we can put him in front of Turnip Boy, and maybe get paid for, hey, we found the guy that did all this because we got a note with his name on it, and he was stupid, right? So maybe he'll pay us and get off our case, and then we can figure out kind of what to do next. I don't know.
Sure, I'm unclear what we're asking for.
I do also agree. There is a concern that the sheriff is working with him, right? I mean, these people are weird. Like, nobody here is normal.
Do you guys say that out loud in front of Dipshit?
Well, which dipshit? We've got a goblin dipshit.
Dipshit in chains.
Yeah, we definitely say
Sure.
that. Yeah.
I'll say it loud.
Okay.
Not one to be quiet.
He makes a mock laugh.
Halid, do you have something you'd like to add?
Same as before, Governor. Same as before. You know my story.
And you're sticking to it.
But of course, if nothing,
Well, then let me ask you this question. Would you rather us keep you bound here or take you to the sheriff?
He faints sleeping. You get halfway through your sentence and he rolls his head back and
I slap him.
What, you don't like my humor?
I would if it was funny.
It's funny to me. Like your face.
Yeah.
Funny to me.
Oh, boy.
What kind of self-respecting dwarf spends time with fucking goblins? Not one, but two. And the one that I fancy beating about. Come here, Finnick. I'll hit you. Even in chains, I'll smack you. And Finnick just goes, he kind of hides behind Lycura.
Finnick, we're not going to let him hit you.
I, as the other goblin, would like to take an action, if I may.
We're out of turn base. You can do whatever you like, sir.
Okay. I think I'm going to go back to one of my classics, and we're going to do that. We're going to do a groin stomp.
Okay.
You're
going to show him just how cultured the goblins are by kicking him right in the crotch.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Roll to hit. He's not completely defenseless. He's in chains, but he's not defenseless.
Sure.
I presume you've taken him out of armor. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
yes, he should be down. He should be down to his small clothes, assuming he has those.
He's down to just his decks. and such. So yeah, if you please.
Oh, probably an 11.
Close, but not enough to nut stomp him. Certainly enough
man.
to intimidate him. You kind of came right down between his legs, really close, and you made him scoot back a little bit. It's like, oh, sensitive, are we? Hello, lovey.
See, I don't know how we're gonna get the. I don't know if he's gonna open up that fee or. I think we just need to take it back to town and find the nearest secure room and throw him in, and I'll watch him. I'll make sure he doesn't go nowhere.
So Simon's played bad cop. Maybe this is time for Desna to play good cop.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't necessarily going to play good cop, but
different cop.
Different cop, less aggressive cop.
Strictly over the pants cop.
Right. Absolutely. Please. I just got a new skill feat because we leveled up, and I would like to use that today. It is called Lie to Me, so I can let me actually look at the.
So tell me about your thing, and then I'm going to rain on your parade just a little bit.
No, come on! You guys always rain on my parade with the message and the fortune telling.
Just a little bit. So okay, in keeping with the way the rules are written, and you have to at least have a rest between leveling and gaining all of your new stuff. So the way I've always handled it is everything that you get that's in addition to what you already have. More hit points, yes. More proficiency bonuses, sure. More times of doing the things you can already do, sure. If it breaks you into anything new or gives you new feats or new powers, you got to get at least one night's sleep before all that stuff officially goes ding and you're second level.
Well, then to not rain on Dana's parade,
yes.
Why don't we go back to town, bring him to Sheriff Turnip, and then tomorrow, Desna, you can do your questioning, and we can see what you can gain from this
absolutely person. So the conversation is more like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be able to do the following.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I guess it's not as intimidating as I was going to try to be, but.
You can be intimidating tomorrow, Des.
Well, yeah, you can be as intimidating as you want to be.
Fine. Get some sleep, kind of build it up, and then you can come in and you do the tough girl thing. And
didn't we recover some coinage from this foray? Like, I thought we did find a little cache of coins or something.
That was back in his room in the strong box that you had destroyed to get into.
Right.
Yeah. So you did. Oh, and by the way, funny enough, when she handed you the key on the chain, Theron, you kind of looked at it and you're like, "Yep, that would match the strong box." You recognize it. You looked at the lock. You know how many tumblers there are. You count the teeth on both sides. You're like, "Yep, that's the key to the box you destroyed." So, it's a good trophy. It won't really work on anything anymore.
Right. Well, it's silver.
The only other thing that was found in this room, again, were overlooked alchemical components. So there are 50 gold pieces worth of alchemical reagents here. So basically, the stuff that you would need to add to an alchemical lab, there's a bunch of those kind of powders and a bunch of those, vials of liquid and all that kind of stuff, to a gold piece total of 50. So if you're selling it, that's what it's worth. If somebody's into using it, they are very, very general in the description. So, basically that means if you need it to be something like, oh, I need 10 gold pieces worth of quicksilver. Yeah, you got it. And just subtract 10 from the 50, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah. All right. So you go out the tunnel, out the back where the pond is and up to the walk. Yeah. You're going to kind of rough it through this little pathless area, and it really looks as though it was deliberately kept extra wooded right in this area. Like there are some obvious pathways, but it also looks like Halid probably came and went through this way much more than the other direction, much more than the way you guys came in, because you can see there's piles where he's set up piles of trimmings and pieces of trees and pieces of bushes that he can from time to time pull from the pile and scatter them about to conceal his pathways. And that has been done heavily here. But just beyond the area where he's kind of covered it really heavily, you can start to find a good path that kind of, it's an old animal trail. Maybe it was a logger's trail at one point, single file. And before long, within about 5 minutes, you're back up on that high ground ridge and walking back down towards the dead houses in town. So you're just walking him along. Theron on one side, Daisy on the other, just kind of like, because he's a big boy. Again, he has not.
Maybe it should be Electra on one side and Daisy on the other.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's perfectly good too. He has not been rough. He has not been resistant, with the exception of being verbally resistant up to this point. And goes along. He's going along with things. The only thing that you've noticed there and is keeping a close watch on him now that you've seen that he is going through some level of withdrawal, you don't recall seeing any evidence in Etrin's Folly of the drug trade or anyone else being under the influence. So it's a singular kind of rare thing that you're seeing, and you can't for the life of you figure out what it is that he's coming off of. You suspect it's probably a number of things mixed together, judging from just what you've seen so far. You don't think this is a standard street drug. He has all the symptoms. He doesn't have a couple of the symptoms of a couple of different kinds. He has all the symptoms simultaneously, which leads you to believe that he's on some kind of super cocktail.
Probably what was left in the tree by this mysterious V person. My guess is V has been supplying Aladir with whatever it is that's ailing him. Hopefully, as things get more severe, he'll be more willing to talk. Mostly, if we and I take Desna aside. So when you question him tomorrow, which I'll be there, but I'll let you take the lead because you're just better at it than I am. He'll just spit at me.
Good callback.
Let him know that we're willing to find V and the source of whatever substance that he seems to need to make himself well.
Okay.
All right. You bring him back into town. Do you march him straight to the sheriff's residence, knowing that there's no jail in Etrin's Folly? You know that already. But if your intention is to get the law involved in the proper chain of command, like you should, you're going to march him straight to Rolf's place.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. When you get to the sheriff's house, his demeanor is more business-like than it has been in the past. He does seem worried, but not in the sense of not like a personal worry. He just, as you tell him what's going on, he considers what you're saying, and he says, well, I have heard word from the circuit judge. He is another 10-day out. So I believe what we'll do is we'll take Halid there, If you don't mind donating your chains to the cause, you will be reimbursed, Mr. Glittermine. I'd like to stake him to a central tree in the middle of town and have a guard on him round the clock. The weather should be fine. There's no reason to spoil a bed on the likes of him. And when he says that, Halid takes the opportunity. He goes, "Oh, fucking spoil more than you got for me." He's always got a little chirpy chirp, especially for the sheriff. There's some genuine hatred there. It's pretty palatable. You don't need to make a roll to know that these guys really, really at a core level don't like each other. And you think it goes beyond maybe just the fact that he's the town bully and he's the sheriff.
When he does that, I poke him in the buttocks with the tip of my longsword and tell him and just say, "Calm down, you big ugly idiot."
Prisoners should be seen, not heard. Give him a little poke. Yeah.
Shut your face. Shut your face.
Okay. Yeah. He has a high threshold of pain. You will cut him several times.
I have a pointy friggin' sword. I'll keep poking him in the butt.
He will finish what he has to say in most of those cases. He has an incredibly high threshold for pain, as you see, but will eventually stop with the chirps simply because he doesn't want you to bleed him out. It is not long before Tamley shows up at Rolf's house, and she's there with two of the caravanners, two of the teamsters, not the dipshit twins. They're not here. It's just her and a couple of the caravanners who she trusts, and they show up, and she also looks worried. She also looks worried as she comes walking up. And this is right as the conversation is happening out in front. She walks up as Rolf is finishing, letting you know what he wants to do. He said, "I'm going to leave it up to the circuit judge to decide whether he will try Halid here. And under the circumstances, I believe if Finnick is willing to return back to his job and back to his life, and we don't have to worry about him squirreling away, we will let the judge also decide how he wants to proceed in that case." And Finnick looks around. He looks confused, like he doesn't understand what's being said. And he looks up at you, like Kira, and he kind of you're holding his hand, or he's holding on to you now that he's no longer in chains. He makes no effort to get away from you. In fact,
we're buds now.
Yeah, no, you're total buds now. So if you're holding his hand, and like he looks around like he doesn't understand what's going on, and he's kind of looking up at you, waiting for you to translate what's being said around him.
So I'm gonna turn around and look at him, and in Goblin say, "It looks like you're probably off the hook."
He goes, "Hook?
You're probably not going to be in trouble."
"No trouble, Finnick, no trouble?" He gets a big smile on his face. "Finnick, no trouble! Finnick, no trouble!" And
I reach down and I give him a little high five, and I'm like, "Good job, buddy."
Rolf is extremely put off by that and pretends like it's not happening, and even raises his voice a little bit, like louder than that. He says, if any of you would care to donate time towards guarding Halid until the circuit judge comes, it is not necessary. But every once in a while, relieving one of the men of a shift would be appreciated. Is there anything that I can do to help you further your investigation now that you know that there is a higher tier of villain to be identified?"
Not that we know of yet, but we've got some more investigating to do, and maybe after that, we may need we would appreciate your assistance.
"Are you hungry? Would you like some turnips?"
Yes and no.
My thoughts exactly.
Where's Cookie?
Tamley waits until there's a break in the conversation, And she's like, am I to understand that he's the one?
He's not the one. He worked for the one. We're searching for the one.
And she turns to the sheriff. She says, Sheriff, you need assistance to keep an eye on him. And he says, that is what I meant. She says, I would like to volunteer for 2 shifts out of every day. The last one of the evening and the first of the morning. He's like, certainly. She says, at least until my caravan is able to leave this place. And Rolf says, well, on that matter, good lady. She looks at him suspiciously. On that matter, the circumstances have unfolded in such a way to create the pretense that the caravan and your present company included were not involved in this in any way, and I would like to formally lift that ban on your travel. And she says, she kind of looks at him with suspicion. She looks at you guys, and she looks back at him. She says, fine. So now we can leave, but we're not going to. We're staying here until we find out who is responsible. And he says, that is fine with me. And she says, and it's not going to be by our expense either. And he says, well, that is not for me to decide. She says, well, you are the authority, so you will decide. And she makes an intimidation check. And she rolls a nat 20. So yeah, of course, we will find a way. We will find the funds. Of course, if there's any reward or anything that can be had, of course, we will make all of these considerations. She smiles. She turns back to you guys and she says, find out who did this.
Oh, we will.
I want to, Daisy. I'm gonna join you for the guard shift.
Yeah.
I want to practice my nut punching on Big Ugly. So I clearly need to hone my skills. I'm not quite as deft as I thought I was.
She says, I want to tell you that a mysterious elven woman arrived in town last night asking questions. She wants to meet you.
What's her name?
Nuala is what she said her name was. A very striking elven woman wears a green jewel on her forehead. I believe she is of a scout tradition or perhaps druidic. I don't know for sure, but she certainly has that manner about her. I imagine that she will find you now that word is getting around that you've returned back to Etrin's Folly.
So yeah, definitely I seem to be I'll be the good cop to Simon's bad cop. And yeah, I just need to I'm gonna be working on Howard over the hours I'm watching him.
So his withdrawal will get more severe depending upon how many days into his interrogation we will get with this. But Theron, that night, you predict that he's probably got a 12 to 20 hour burn off that's going to happen, where you might even need to administer first aid and medical help to him because the withdrawal might kill him.
Okay.
You think it's going to be that severe.
Well,
so
then I'll keep an eye on him.
Did we ever administer first aid on Daisy?
You mean post-combat?
Yeah.
I did presume that well, he wasn't on death's door or anything, right? Daisy,
No.
you weren't that bad off. You just were
No, I was down.
Oh, it was just knocked
yeah.
down. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I don't think anybody was like, "Oh my God, they're
No,
bleeding
actually,
out." So
Daisy
yeah,
actually looking at that shield he had that has a huge dent in it, which has a broken
Right.
condition.
right.
And he's
and
just kind of sad. He's like, oh, well, my brother Andrew gave that to me. It's on the back, and you can see like he scratched into the rim. Good luck, Daisy. And
That's beautiful. It's got
now
like
I
a
need to get a
Hulk
new
fist
shield.
imprint in it. And on close of session, we will come back in episode 15 after that night. So you've come back, you've secured Halid, you've dealt with the sheriff, and with Tamley, you've gone back to your rooms at the loft, and we'll pick up on the next morning. I think that's a fantastic place to leave us for episode 14, just a little past the hour. Once again, we're having a fantastic time playing this adventure. We hope that you are enjoying it as much as we are playing it, and we like your comments. So get to us however you want, azmythbusters@gmail.com if you want to send us an email or an inquiry or marriage proposals. See you later.